ever considered becoming a vegan but didn't know what steps to take? Or started the transition but wasn't able to finish the process? Well, you're in luck because now you have the easiest way to become a vegan. A simple and clear guide to embracing a vegan lifestyle. For more information, please visit www.veganintel.com and get your guide today.
Positive energy all the time. Good to see everyone. We are here, ready to get it going again. Yes, indeed. Hope everybody's having a great day. Good to see you, Danielle. More power, Jerry. Always a pleasure. Hope you're all doing great. Eat to live, don't live to eat. Make sure you take care of yourself. Help out your loved ones that might be having some health issues. Try to help them out the best you can. Sometimes they don't want to listen. But hey, try to help them out. Try to help them out the best you can. Yes, indeed. So I'm feeling great. Had a little workout this morning. A lot of people around me having health issues, so I might do a few lives over here today. We really got to get people to eat better, take care of themselves. It's something that it's something that's overlooked, and then people are getting extremely sick. And I've been on Instagram for a while. I haven't seen this many rest in peace posts since I've been on. I haven't seen that many cancer posts since I've been on. So that's a little rough. That's a little rough. It's sad. They never really tell people what's going on with that. So it just keeps happening. People keep blowing it off. Man, we're losing people left and right. and right and left. It's absolutely crazy. Nobody will say anything about nobody never says anything about the health situation when we keep losing all these people. I can see not saying anything when it first happens, but to just not never address it, you know, is crazy. Yeah, we just lost Daniel Spencer from what's happening. Rest in peace to her. But it's constant. It's constant. It's just constant. It's constant. I guess I'm gonna start posting them. Uh, I don't know. It just be a little morbid to me, but I guess I could post them. As a child actor, she was great. No doubt about that. Grew up to be a beautiful lady. Rest in peace to her. Pretty young. Yeah. I mean, it's weekly at this point. They say Spencer had faced significant health challenges over the years. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent a double mastectomy in 2014. In 2018, she required emergency brain surgery to address internal bleeding. I'm not sure how she ended up with internal bleeding. I don't know. 60 years old. She was 7 years younger than I was. So, I'm 14. I'm watching her on TV. So she's somebody I watched through school. I was in school. She was a veterinarian. They said she also had a spinal condition from perhaps from a car auto accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. Wow. Cancer. Paralyzed. Wow, that's a lot. Wow, what a rough situation, huh? She was involved in a 5-car accident on the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu that killed her stepfather, who was driving. Wow. They said she suffered a long time with the ordeal with the after the breast cancer, and then the bleeding in her brain. I'm telling you, man, health as well. So it's really something you got to be thankful for your health. Anything can happen. Accidents. Nothing you can really do about some of that stuff. It's rough out here. Good to see you, Big Zeba. Driving, you got to be careful, boy. You really got to drive defensive. But it's a hit or miss out here with life every day. When you leave out um, the house, you're not sure if you're going to come back. And sometimes something can happen to you right in the house. So, yeah, man, that's a sad story. So, today I'm going to be talking about the situation where a lot of, well, not a lot, but it is a lot, but it's a few comparatively speaking. Doctors are beginning to go vegan and vegetarian slowly. Doctors are beginning to go vegan and vegetarian. Uh, they would know better than anybody about all the cholesterol people's eating and all the ultra processed foods and being overweight and high sodium. The doctors have to deal with all these things. I remember when I had to make some visits to the doctor's office after I made it out of my surgery here in Chicago, when I got back to Chicago. And I was fine. I was recuperating fine. But I remember my doctor, Dr. Pedro, and his clients, a lot of older black people. And I remember him like quite often when they come out the back, pleading with them to, pleading with a man and his wife, listen, he can't eat that no more. And she like, I told him. He said, listen, Mr. So-and-so, you cannot eat that anymore, okay? There's better choices when you go in the store. And it just was like the lady's husband, you know, wouldn't respond and didn't care really. I'm not sure what he was going to the doctor for, but the doctor was pleading with him. I think one of the things he wanted him to get off was mayonnaise, eggs. And the man was like, well, what am I supposed to eat then? These doctors go through a lot trying to help these people eat better. And so there's a percentage of doctors that are going plant-based. While a precise number is difficult to pinpoint, surveys suggest that a higher percentage of physicians than the general population follow vegan or vegetarian diets. A survey of over 1,000 physicians found that 5% identified as vegan and 11% as vegetarian. This is considerably higher than the estimated 2 to 3% of the general population who identify as vegan. So there is a higher percentage of vegans with the doctors than there is with the general population. Which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. You have to wonder, when will the people wake up? The doctors know. You know, the doctors know. The doctors are changing, trying to make sure they can be as healthy as possible. And that's definitely a sign for everybody. Anytime you see that the doctors are not playing around. They see what's going on. They see the food. They see the problems with the food. They see the problems with their patients. And they know that they have to do something better than what they've been doing. And that's very interesting. Very interesting that the doctors know exactly what's going on. And the people don't. So I'm trying to do my best to try to, wake up as many people as possible. The media, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because they have to run commercials for these companies. So they really can't just go in there and tell you don't eat the food from the same people that they are running commercials for. They can't do that. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. What can they do? And that's one of the biggest problems is money. The way we eat is connected with the money. And that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. The way we eat is connected to the dollars. And they can't afford to mess up the money. That's where all the problems come in at. They can't afford to ruin the economy and tell people that they have to eat better. That is a conflict of interest. And so they're kind of stuck selling us food that's no good for us. So it's sad we're in a situation where the doctors are eating better than the people because the doctors know that the food is no good. That's absolutely crazy. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. And I'm sure the doctors try to give advice if they're vegans. I'm sure they try to give some advice. But people aren't too open to uh, changing the way they eat. They feel like that's the only way they feel like that's what they enjoy. And they also feel like that's healthy, especially meat. And so people in the United States believe that you cannot be healthy if you don't eat meat. I have a friend that went to visit relatives, and every time they go to visit their relatives, I keep asking them, do they still don't eat meat, you know? It's absolutely crazy. And so the doctors know that the higher prevalence of vegan and vegetarian diets among physicians suggests a greater awareness and acceptance of plant based eating within the medical community. There are several potential reasons for this trend, including the understanding of the health benefits of plant based diets, ethical considerations related to animal welfare, and a focus on preventative health care within the medical profession. Preventative. This is instead of waiting until you get sick, do what you need to do to avoid it in the first place. Specific dietary choices. Within the vegetarian category, one study found that 47.3% of women physicians ate poultry, but no red meat. That's not vegetarian. Vegetarians don't eat any animals. 44.9% ate fish, no red meat or poultry. 54% ate dairy, eggs, no meat, no fish, no fowl. And 61% followed a vegan diet. So the largest amount was the people that were vegan, women physicians. According to the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, because typically women are more health conscious than men. It's the women that's always trying to get their husbands to eat better. A larger study found that 7.6% of participants were vegan. 28.9% were lacto-ovo vegetarian. 9.8% was pesco-vegetarian. And 5.5% were semi-vegetarian. And 48.2% were non-vegetarian. This study also noted that vegetarians tended to be older, more educated, and more likely to exercise than non vegetarians, according to the National Institute of Health. So the vegetarians were more older and exercise. So basically, they were more health conscious. And there's a big gap. A lot of older people are eating better, taking care of themselves, and a lot of younger people not. And so you're going to see a lot of people having illnesses and passing away before people older than them. You're going to see that. In conclusion, while a vegan diet can offer numerous health benefits, it is important to plan it carefully to avoid deficiencies and ensure it meets individual nutritional needs. Doctors and dietitians can provide guidance on how to adopt a healthy and well balanced vegan lifestyle. So that's what's going on. Many doctors now recommend plant based eating to prevent and even reverse chronic illnesses. That's a huge step for doctors to be advising that. That's a huge step. Huge step. Now they're given different numbers. They say in the U.S., 4% identify as vegetarian and 1% identify as vegan. This is what they say. I think the numbers is a little bit higher, but they have to do their little surveys, and wherever they do their surveys, they have to go by the surveys. They're not able to survey everyone. So they have to go by their survey. And so that means that in the U.S. population, there are 340 million vegans in the U.S. 3,400,000 vegans in the U.S. Right? And that's a pretty good number. And there's 13,600,000 vegetarians in the U.S. So with that 16,000 and that, and then that would be 14. So basically 17 million vegans and vegetarians. So I would round that off to about 25 million. They definitely don't know who is, but their numbers is basically 3,400,000 and 13,600,000. So vegetarians and vegans make up a nice portion in the country. A good 17 million. A good 17 million. Now, what's interesting about the doctors is the percentage of the doctors I'd have to check to make sure I got the right number. With the doctors. Because they say 5% of the doctors are vegans and vegetarians, but I'm not sure if that's 5% out of all the doctors. So that might just be 5% of the doctors are vegan and vegetarians. So if there's 989,000 doctors, if there's 989,000 doctors, 5%, then that means like 49,000 doctors that are vegan. So I got to look in that. I'm going to look that up and figure that out. But it's a lot. But they have a higher percentage than a public. And that should tell people right there that, if the doctors have a higher percentage of vegans and vegetarians than the public, that's right there should wake anybody up. That should wake anybody up for sure. According to Statista, according to Statista, in the United States, roughly 6% of the population is vegetarian. This is about the same level as in other Western countries such as Germany. This does not include the number of pescatarians who add fish to an otherwise vegetarian diet. About 4% of the U.S. population follows a vegan diet. So they saying 6% are vegetarian and 4% are vegan. It is noteworthy that the number of vegans is so small that surveys have a hard time clearly showing how many vegans there are. Variance in survey responses can result in the share of vegans being halved or doubled compared to prior surveys. Among younger consumers, both veganism and vegetarianism are more widespread than among older consumers. So they're saying they really don't know the numbers like that. And that makes sense because they wouldn't be able to really get a good survey straight from the public. So it would be very hard for them to get enough vegans to come to any type of survey thing they would be having. So it's going to be a few years before they really can kind of get some idea. But whatever number they think it is, they could double that because they have no way of knowing. And also, people don't do it right because they try to do it for the environment. And the animal rights vegans, they're not doing it for health purposes. So they get sick and then they stop being vegan. And then people say, oh, vegans get sick. But see, animal rights vegans, they're not health vegans. And I'm really going to be fighting to try to separate animal rights from veganism because we're not animal rights. We're doing it for our health. The animal rights don't do it for their health. So that's not a healthy way of eating, because now your mentality to eat is all you're trying to do is eat something with no animal byproduct in it. But you're still eating artificial colors, artificial flavors, preservatives, junk food, potato chips. You see? Because it's not health conscious. It's based on just eating something with no animals, where, hey man, no animal byproduct. You can eat cookies, candy, all type of stuff, as long as it don't got no dairy in it. So that's why the animal rights way is very unhealthy, because you're not eating based on health. You're just eating something that got no animal byproduct. That could be Skittles. That could be any kind of junk. That's why Miley Cyrus had to go back. So imagine Miley Cyrus saying she's gonna go vegan for the animals, get sick, and then got to go back and eat the animals because she didn't do it for her health. She wasn't eating a strong food for her health. She was just trying to eat without animal byproducts. And people get this confused all the time. They don't get it. You know, veganism just means no animal byproducts. It doesn't mean healthy. You have to make sure it's healthy. It just means no animal byproducts. Potato chips is vegan. Come on. Popcorn is vegan if it ain't got no cheese or nothing on it. Table salt is vegan, but table salt is not like, you know, Celtic salt or nothing. So there's a lot of things that's vegan that don't have animal in it, but those things are not necessarily nutritious. So you have to eat nutritious. And that information is being lost in the mix. But for sure, you're going to see more and more and more and more doctors going vegan and vegetarian, because the doctors are just watching all these people go to dialysis and watching all these horror stories. And the doctors are like, hey man, this is not going to get it. This is not going to get it. The doctors are seeing this stuff at first hand. You know what I'm saying? First hand, the hard way. The doctors are seeing these things. First hand. The doctors are seeing these things. And one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to eat bad and damage your kidneys. And the doctors know that, because the doctors see things like this.
So a lot of you guys have been asking what dialysis is like. Well, long story short, it fucking blows. It's not fun at all. It's it's so draining. Like it's one of those things that no matter how much explaining I do, you'll never really truly understand what it's like until you've done it. And I do not wish that upon anybody because it sucks. Um, but I mean, you're hooked up to a machine, an artificial kidney that is filtering your blood for like 3 or 4 hours, right? So you can probably imagine that's not fun exactly. If you've ever given blood or know someone who's given blood and they've explained it to you a little bit, it's kind of like that times like 1,000. Because the idea is like, sure, they're taking blood, but they're filtering it through the artificial kidney and then returning it to you, right? And it has to do all the blood in your whole system, and that takes a long time. So that's why you usually have to run like 3 or 4 hours, right? And it's so draining. First of all, it also takes a lot of water weight off of you. That's like one of the main things it does, right? You go in at a certain weight, and then they try to get you to what's called your dry weight. So, like when I went in today, I was 66.5 kilograms, and my dry weight is 63.5 kilograms. So that's 3 kilograms, which is about like 6 or so pounds, a little more than 6 pounds. So across that 4 hours, I'm losing 6 pounds of water weight. That's what it is. It's like liquid weight. It's excess fluid that is like on my body because my kidneys are not doing their job, right? So that's like one of the main things that dialysis does. And you can imagine like losing 6, 7, 8 pounds in like 3, 4 hours, like that's a lot, right? And it makes you feel lighter, but like almost more hollow. Like that's a good way to just explain how you feel afterwards. You feel like you've literally just been drained, like a vampire has just like sucked half of your blood out, and it kind of has. It just like gave it back, right? But you literally feel so drained and like kind of hollowed out. It's like good might not be the right word for it, but it's better than the like, I don't know, just like overbearing feeling of just like having a lot of excess fluid on you and just like being chunky. Because like I'll try to show a video, but like right now I just got off of dialysis, right? Like I'm looking pretty like, I don't know, like slim, I guess. And I'm a skinny person, but I'll try to show on Sunday like that, because that's the longest stretch I go without dialysis. On Sunday, I'm like more chunky. You can see it in my face, in my wrist, like right here. I can easily do that. I got a lot of wiggle room to like move my watch and everything, stuff like that. This is my dog, Tally. Say hi. But on Sunday, when I'm all chunked up, like it's probably very minimal to the eye, but feeling wise, I feel majorly just like heavy. So the opposite side of that, after dialysis, you feel really light, but again, it's sort of like a hollow light. Like you feel like you've been hollowed out. And that's like, it's so tiring. All that liquid and fluid being taken off can make you way more susceptible to cramps. And if you sneeze while like super dry after a bunch of fluid has been taken off of you, at least in my experience, sneezing, man, that can like lock up my abs and my stomach, and like, oh my gosh, that's one of the worst pains, like from dialysis and everything. It feels like my insides are being like wringed out. But like I said, long story short, dialysis is not fun. It's very tiring. It's very just draining. But weirdly, I always, even though like physically I'm like drained, mentally I'm like pumped, because I'm just like, I'm like renewed, rejuvenated, in a sense of like, okay, I'm good. Like they just reset me. Like I now don't have to worry about dialysis for as long as until I have my next dialysis, right? So that's like a nice feeling. But yeah, dialysis, it sucks.
See what I'm saying? Who wants to go through that? These are things that they don't they don't really tell you about. You know, they don't really tell you the problems of these things. It's horrible. And that's the bad thing about health. It's like once it goes bad, it's almost like a surprise. And it's not till your health go bad before you start thinking about all the things you got to adjust. You know, you never thought about it like that. You know, all the things you got to adjust. How long are you going to survive? You know, it's really, really, really serious. You know, And we just got to get people to eat more fruits and vegetables. Even if we can't get them to really go all the way vegetarian and all the way vegan, in some kind of way, we got to get people to eat healthier. And first, we got to get them to understand what healthy is because they want to debate it. They like to debate that what's healthy. They really don't know any better. For years and years and years, they told them to eat a certain kind of way and make you big and strong. But now we're finding out that information is incorrect. So now we got a lot of people that's got this weight on them. They can't get off of them. They don't feel as well as they could feel. And it's just a horrible situation. It's horrible all the way around. But we're getting more and more people going vegan, and especially the doctors. You know, we're getting a large amount of doctors are switching over because they see, you know, they see, okay, this is not going to get it. So we have gotten to the point where we have actually plant-based doctors that are helping people and actually teaching people about eating different and changing the way they eat. That's how far we've come. And I can say to a lot of people, they're lucky, especially a lot of younger people, to have this information available, to actually have doctors that are well versed in medicine be able to guide people and get them to eat better. You can listen to a professional to help you change your ways, because you got to change your ways. Your body can't take it. It can't. Your body needs nutrition. Your body needs to deworm. Okay? Your body needs the juice and the liquid from fruits and vegetables. That liquid is medicine. That liquid is medicine. And you're constantly fighting because you're in a poison world. So you're fighting. Even if you're vegan, you're fighting. You're fighting for your life. You're surrounded by toxins. You're surrounded by poisons. You're surrounded by forever chemicals. And every day is a fight. And if you don't fight, things are going to be miserable. People are being sick for long periods of time, and they didn't really think that was a possibility. Sometimes they just think, well, I'm just going to pass away. But they never know they're going to suffer for a long time. A long time you suffer. Some of my friends, man, it's so bad. It's so bad. It really is. It really is. It is so bad the way they suffer, the way their families suffer. It's just something that it happens isolated. You know, it's an isolated incident, so the world don't get to see it. The world don't get to see it. It just don't. I mean, I got so many friends going through horror stories, man. Absolute horror stories. It eat up all their money. They had plenty of money. You would think they would have enough money to make it through their health issue, but the health issue eats up all the money. And then, like for the men, what it does to their relationship, they really can't be there for their wife, and it's heartbreaking because they can't be there for their wife. Now the wife has got to like do everything, so it's hard on her. It's hard on it's a health burden on her. I'll tell you like this: if you in a situation you got a loved one, and your loved one is having medical issues, I'll tell you right now, you better step up your nutrition because that's going to be draining you. So you need to like get light exercise in. You need to be eating high nutritious food because little do you know that's going to be pulling away from your health. When my father was passing away, he drained my health a little bit. I wasn't conscious of it. I wasn't conscious of it. I would have told you I was fine. But by the time all that time I took care of him, and I finally he passed away, and I eventually got everything together and moved and got settled. I was gone. You know what I'm saying? I was gone, man. That stuff had drained a lot. And I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. I had no clue it did that. I had no clue that it did that. It took so much of my mind away dealing with him every day. And so it was like just made me kind of like neglected myself. But I didn't know that. And so I was going down, down, down. And he passed away. I was still going down. I never would have had no idea. If I would have known what I know now, I would have been exercising. I would have went on a crazy nutritional. If I knew what I know now, I would have went on a real crazy health kick. When did I realize it? That was a long time before I realized it. It was a long time before I realized that. For real. I was like 61 or something before I realized. So it was some years before I realized it. Had to be like 3 years or something like that before I realized it. Because you can't focus. You're working every day. When you're trying to survive, you can't focus. You can't focus when you're in the rat race. So you're in the rat race. All you're thinking about is going to work. Going to work, going to work, going to work, making some money, going to work, making some money, going to work. That's it. By the time you make money, go to work, come, eat, try to get some type of little entertainment, sleep, do it all over. Eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, like that. You will never know. You'll never know. You won't be taking care of yourself. You won't be getting the proper exercise. Yeah, yeah. You'll just deteriorate. You won't know it. You won't know it. I wouldn't necessarily call it depression. So I don't think I was depressed. I think I was just distracted is the word I would use because I didn't feel emotionally no kind of way. And typically you don't know you're feeling bad until you're feeling good. And you think, I think I was feeling bad. It's kind of how it works. You won't know you're in a rut till you get out of it. And that's when you're like, wow, I think I was in a rut. It can be slight. It's not necessarily going to be nothing dramatical where you can point your finger on it. Because you don't get a chance to self-analyze because you're busy with the rat race. So this is why you got to get on a health kick. Basically, your life got to be a health kick. You can't just be vegan. You have to be on like a, a, a health journey. That way you won't get laxed. You have to be, you know what I'm saying, thinking about different vitamins, different nutrients, different things like that. You have to like really think about that. Am I getting niacin? Am I getting calcium? Am I getting enough vitamin D? Am I getting enough vitamin C? Am I getting enough exercise? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I drinking enough liquid? Do I got worms? This is how you have to think. And you have to, if you think about, do I got worms? You can't just go and deworm and forget about it. Within 2 or 3 years later, you got to think again, do I got worms? We'll have a tendency to deworm or something and just move on with our life and never think about it for how many years. So, you know what I mean? So it's like more power is something that you got to be on it. And then what I'm doing right now, I'm using my age as my motivation. So it's like, okay, you getting older. All right, what you going to do to offset that? That's how I would do it no matter what age you are. I would look at it like, I'm getting older. What can I do to offset this age? I need to offset this. Naturally, I'm going to be getting weaker. So I need to get stronger to offset the natural, what you lose in natural. People get older, they lose their balance naturally. They get more unstable naturally. So what should you do? Become more stable, more balanced to offset that. And I could definitely feel the difference. And you won't feel the difference until you do it. It's just like building muscle. You don't never know you don't have that muscle till you build it. And when you start building muscle, at first you're gonna feel awkward. You don't know where to put your arms at. When I first started going to the gym and I started building all this muscle, my arms was hanging down. I felt like why my arms don't hang down flat. You know what I'm saying? That's because all of this muscle under here was growing. It felt weird. It felt awkward. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dang, man, I don't feel like I could walk right. I was like, oh, that's why them dudes look like they walking like this. I get it. But you can tell when you stand up, when you sit down, when you're moving around, you can tell the difference. Put more pep in your step. But you got to put everything to go with it. And some of these dudes, they gym rats and stuff, but they drinking all that whey and stuff that's going into their colon. And then next thing you know, they got colon problems. They got kidney problems. There's all that weight going through their kidney. Next to you, it's gym rats that have lost their kidneys on dialysis. Putting all that weight in that protein powder. You gotta know what is this protein powder you taking. You gotta know what you're taking. And you gotta make sure you get breaks, and you gotta make sure you're putting enough liquid back through your kidneys to clean, make sure your kidneys getting enough liquid. So it's a lot to it. But the doctors know, and the doctors is getting on board. The doctors are getting on board slowly. Because when doctors go to school, they don't get much nutrition classes. Like you would think. Doctors don't know nothing about nutrition. So these new plant-based doctors, they're learning about nutrition. Doctors really never did know anything about nutrition. And that was the big problem. So I just thought that was interesting how many doctors are going vegan and how they waking up. And I expect in the next maybe 24 to 36 months, when we get the new statistics, it's going to be interesting. The numbers are going to be high. For sure. The numbers are going to be high. Because people are waking up. Despite misinformation, 50% of Americans still find plant-based diets healthy. So they saying half of America in this article, the Green Queen, is saying that despite misinformation, half of Americans recognize the health benefits of a vegan diet, but they need reassurance from their primary care doctors to eat more plants. Wow. While a majority of Americans say they are happy to eat more plant-based foods and know it's good for them, a lack of guidance from healthcare professionals keeps them at bay, according to a new survey. Wow. In the 2,200 person poll, Morning Consult and the Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine found that half of the respondents believe vegan diets can improve their health, while only about a third think otherwise. Another 17%, meanwhile, are unsure. What's missing is support and guidance from healthcare professionals, contended Xavier Toledo, a registered dietitian with the PCRM. This represents a huge missed opportunity to turn interest into action and to reduce the risk of chronic disease that affect millions. Doctors can be a force of dietary change. The survey revealed that only 1% of Americans follow a vegan diet. Another 1% are lacto-ovo vegetarians. In fact, 91% of respondents said they eat meat at least once a week, and 88% said the same of dairy. On the other hand, over a quarter, 28%, say they rarely or never eat seafood. Among those who believe plant-based food can improve health and reduce chronic disease, the sentiment was most popular with Gen Zers and millennials, those with a college degree, high-income households, non-white Americans, urban residents, and Democrats. See, black folks is going vegan for sure. Only 1 in 5 survey respondents have had their primary care doctor speak to them about benefits of a vegan diet. With these consumers skewing young, male, black, and Hispanic, and urban, over half, 57% of Americans said their primary care doctor have not discussed this with them. This leaves a major gap, as Toledo noted. It's because when Americans are shown evidence of how plant based diets can enhance their health, their willingness to try such a diet jumps by 15 percentage points. Nearly two-thirds, 65%, are open to eating vegan if they're shown the science. This sentiment is similar for both men and women, but is more common with younger, college educated respondents who vote Democrat, earn over 50,000 per year, and are black or Hispanic. Meanwhile, only a quarter, 26%, said this wouldn't influence their dietary habits. It highlights the impact of doctors speaking to their patients about how plant based diets can help them. The teaching and training of healthcare professionals in general is still based around omnivorous diets when it comes to nutrition. Dr. Shireen Kassam, a consultant hematologist, or hematologist, I don't know how you pronounce that, and founding director of Medical Association Plant Based Health Professional UK, told Green Queen last week. Nutrition training is most non-nutrition healthcare courses is still lacking. So nutrition training in most non-nutrition healthcare courses is still lacking. That's messed up. With education on plant-based diets being even less well covered, she added. She was responding to a recent study showing that only 72% of midwives feel prepared to advise pregnant patients on plant based nutrition. Though her comments covered the broader medical profession. It is clear from our own research that health professionals, including dietitians, would benefit from more teaching and training on plant based and vegan diets, given they are becoming more popular and given that they are recognized as being necessary for their co benefits for environmental health. The poll comes at a time when health is in full focus in the U.S., thanks in part to the continued post COVID wave of wellness and nutrition and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Makes America Healthy Again movement. The U.S. Health Secretary has taken a stick to ultra processed foods and what he calls fake meats, which have contributed to the ongoing slowdown of sales of plant based foods in the U.S. Last year, meat alternative sales were down by 70% and purchase of non dairy milk by 5%. At the same time, beef is back to the center of American plates, driven by the rise of the manosphere, the backlash against UPLs, heightened misinformation around alternative proteins, all going hand in hand with shifting politics and culture wars. Novel foods like cultivated meat are now banned in 5 states, with plenty of others hoping to join that list. This latest poll shows that there is an appetite for plant based food, mirroring another survey by Morning Consult and PCRM, which found that nearly half of Americans would consider eating vegan food to reduce their climate footprint. Evidence of health being a primary consumption driver is mounting. Research by the American Heart Association last year found that 77% of Americans would like to eat healthier. Meanwhile, another survey showed that 48% feel plant based foods are healthier than animal proteins, and 45% want to eat less meat and dairy due to personal health concerns. Among consumers identified as the addressable market for plant-based meat. 2 in 5 find meat or protein good for health. At the same time, though, 43% say health is a top benefit they seek from both meat and vegan alternatives. And a third of them believe the latter are better for heart health. That's a fact confirmed by tons of research, including a recent Harvard study. An 11-country review has also found that plant-based meat and dairy are either or par or better than animal protein in terms of their nutritional profile. And in 2023, a meta-analysis of 2 million people found that higher adherence to plant-based diets is linked to significantly lower risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and early death. Plant proteins were a major talk point in discussion for the upcoming update to the National Dietary Guidelines, with scientists recommending the U.S. Department of Agriculture prioritize plants over meat. Much respect to Green Queen doing his thing. Y'all go check out Green Queen so you can stay up on the news. So this is what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? You're exactly right. There are two kinds of cardiologists, vegans and those who haven't read the data. Kim Williams, former president of the American College of Cardiology. You are 100% correct. Dr. Williams is the man all day, every day. You all should check him out. Much respect to that hiking hippo. Y'all check out Kim Williams. Very knowledgeable person for sure. I've been plant-based since forever. I've been plant-based since 1978. I thought I was a vegetarian. I didn't eat dairy. I didn't know I was a vegan until in the 80s, the later 80s, like 86 or something like that, before I found out, oh, I'm a vegan all this time. Well, I didn't know. I thought I was a vegetarian. And even though we thought we was vegetarians and we knew that vegetarians could eat dairy, we knew then that dairy wasn't good for, our breathing and stuff like that, And foundational Black Americans or Black people in general don't do well with dairy, except a tribe in East Africa that's been raising cattle for thousands of years. But typically, Black people, dairy doesn't work well with us like that. And so, it was easy to know, you're going to have boogers and you're going to be blowing your nose and, and it's just really amazing that the sicknesses I had back in the 60s and the 70s, they went away and I didn't really realize it. I just knew I wasn't sick, but I had forgot about the various types of sicknesses that I used to have all the time as growing up. And all of that went away when I stopped eating meat and dairy and animals. Artificial flavors, artificial color. I ain't lying, man. Those headaches where you could barely walk down the stairs? I haven't had those. Those real bad sore throats? I haven't had those. Imagine not having a sore throat for 48 years to the point you forgot. I forgot, oh, yeah, I remember I used to get those. Like all those illnesses went away and I forgot about them. The only reason I started remembering them is going live and talking to my subscribers. And I would be like, oh, remember? And that would be the first time I would remember. Because I remember like having to walk down the stairs real slow because your head, you don't want to shake. I can remember coughing like, because your chest, imagine like I haven't had that chest hurt. I haven't had that. So nobody could tell me that plant-based is not it because all that stuff went away. I don't mean camp a little bit. Gone. Haven't had it in almost 50 years. Even if I catch a cold, I don't get those headaches. I don't get the chest pain. I just get mucus. That's it. And it comes out quickly. And I believe it comes out quickly because it don't got nowhere to live. I believe when I was young and I would get this mucus with all that meat in there and all that cheese and dairy and, you know, the egg yolk and all that, it's got stuff to grab to. But the way I eat now, if a cold get in there, it doesn't have anywhere to live. It comes right out. So you all, you know, I would tell you to try it. But whatever you do, definitely increase your fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, grains. For sure. For sure. And if you got a loved one that's not feeling well, you know, slowly change them because you don't want them to have no reaction, but you make sure you change how you're taking care of yourself because that's going to drain you. That person in your family that don't feel good is going to drain you. So get on a health kick. Get you some small weights and start moving. You know, get some light ones, 2 pounds. And when it get too easy, then get 4 pounds. Next thing you know, you have 10 pounds. Next thing you know, you have 15. You'll be like, I'm really getting stronger, and give yourself like a 3-year, 4-year plan. Stop trying to do something in 3 months. I built up my body, but I made it a long 3-4 year plan. I didn't try to, I got it. No, I made it a long, and you know the benefits of making it a long plan? When you just say, I'm going to go get in shape, you'll fall off because you got a short plan. But when you tell yourself, I'm going to do a 3, 4, 5 year plan to build myself up, that stays in there. So when there's days you don't work out, you'll still do it because you don't feel like you fell off because it's a 4-year plan. It's a 5-year plan. And that stops you from thinking mentally that you fell off because you didn't fall off. Because it wasn't nothing you were just going to do a few months. It's something you were going to do long term. So like if you don't work out for 2 or 3 months, you're not going to feel like you doing it over again. You're going to feel like you're just finishing. You're just still doing it. You know what I mean? You're not going to feel like, oh, I was working out and I stopped the whole program and now let me do it again. You won't feel like you're doing it again. You'll feel like you're continuing. Because like let's say you work out 9 months, then you don't work out for 3 months, but you got a 4-year plan. Hey, that's 12 months. You did 9. That was good. So then you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it because you're going to still be stronger than you was before you did the 9 months or before you did the 3 months. Even if you do 2 months, you're going to be stronger than before you did the 2 months. So if you do 2 months and stop a month, just start back. when you start back, you'll still be stronger than when you started. So when you look at it like that, that'll give you motivation. Like, I'm still stronger than I started, so let me just keep getting stronger. It's only when you stop and don't do it again a year or two, now you're back weak like you was. But that muscle doesn't just go away. So if you get a good workout in and you work out a good 3-4 months, you will feel good for a whole year. That strength does not go away, because that strength you're building up from not doing nothing for years. And then you just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? You keep going. You keep going. I'm doing good, Della. And you just keep going. You keep going. So let's do it. Let's get in shape. The doctors are going plant-based slowly. So there's no excuse for us. Okay? Thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you support the channel. Hit the super chat, Cash App, PayPal. And I will return. I'm probably going to marathon a little bit over here today, because I really want to encourage people to do better. Also, check out the post, the food from A Natural. Go like it, go make some comments, get some ideas. So check out the post on this channel that's being posted. Right? Right? And y'all stay positive, all right? All right. Eat to live, don't live to eat, and take care of yourself. And follow Vegan Intel on all the various social media platforms. Victory, and go vegan.
health, and longevity. If you want to consume more plant-based foods, if you want to abstain from junk foods, if you want to consume fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs, and avoid dead flesh, artificial flavors and colorings, sweeteners, anything that is unreal basically, purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton, who has been a vegan 40 plus years. He will take you step by step on how to abstain from the junk foods, how to abstain from the dead flesh, the chicken, the turkey, the pork, beef, and all sorts of animal products. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan, to eat more natural. Remember that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Consume of every fruit-bearing and herb-bearing tree. Unto you it shall be for meat. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton. Peace, health, and longevity.